Hello. So yeah, do no need to adjust your screens. It's me at my used to be usual time, aka late AF. So it's the end of March of 2023 as we know it, pretty much going into April, and I'm ready. I guess I feel like this year's been interesting. Um, because at the beginning of the year it was a little in betweeny. Like it feels like the first quarter, I guess. Yeah, it feels like the first quarter of this year has been inside of the seed. And now I feel like I'm at a point where I'm like starting to slash ready to like put down roots and break soil. Um, which is interesting because I feel like it's a lot of, at this point, by this time, the universe, God, Spirit has done a great enough job at presenting me what I needed to eliminate like some of the fears that I might have had like lingering and to really like push me to like want to do some of the stuff I've been doing. Like I remember coming back from London in February and I had some Pop Tarts that I got before I left. And I'm like, these are just so sugary. Like I started to get really conscious about I started to get more conscious about the food that I eat. And I'm like, this is just so sugary. Um and then I started eating better. I've started like cooking more or eating like more. I've started eating out like significantly less. Um and now it's like whenever I think about eating out, sometimes it almost turns my stomach a little bit. Or I'll just be like, it's so greasy, or it's so this, or it's so that. Like, I went to Burger King out of defiance the day before yesterday, knowing that it wasn't gonna whatever. Um, and it wasn't good. I'm glad it wasn't good because if it was good, I probably would have wanted it more. So, whenever I eat something and it's not great, I'm kind of thankful because then it prolongs the time until the next craving. Ooh, Queen of Cups. Regina di Coppe. Is that Portuguese? Or is that French? Regina? Because I know Reina is Spanish. Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck. I'm using the Nefertari Tarot because I saw it and I haven't used it in a while. Um, but yeah, and so I've been like eating better. I've been like moving, exercising. Some of the stuff kind of just happened. I think also, like, I don't know if it's because I turned 30 or if Saturn is like, you want a hot body, you want a Maserati, you want a Bugatti, you better work to make those dreams come true. And it kind of just ended up happening in a way. Like, I got a gym membership at the end of last year because it was on sale at the end of the year. And it was like $1 for the first month. I didn't go, and then they charged me like for a full month, and then I was like, well, I have to go to like at least make up for the time that I didn't go because I was first I didn't go and then I was in London. um and I was like, I got to get my money's worth, and then it just kind of sort of like formed a habit and I've just been steadily going. I fell into the pattern. I've fallen into a lot of patterns, a lot of healthier habits and patterns, a lot easier and quicker than I thought I would. um it doesn't require as much, like I don't have to force myself to do stuff really. But then we started eating better, and like I ate that Burger King and it just sat on my stomach and it did not sit right. And I couldn't sleep last night because it was just like whatever. And I'm like, I was like, did I used to live like this? Like I didn't Was I just like so out of tune and out of touch with my body that I didn't even know? But like, I can't. And I was telling my mom this morning, I was like, I kind of regret like eating better and like working out and stuff now because my body is used to a higher standard of like nutrition and also of like physical activity. Um, but also at the same time, I'm like starting to navigate and move in other areas of my life. And honestly, it's this multi layer thing. In one aspect, I was frustrated enough with certain areas of my life. I was frustrated enough at how precautious or slow I was in certain areas of my life that now I'm like everything that I needed to heal is healed. And that which I still need to heal, I can heal as it comes to the surface to heal. Like I don't want to slow down, I don't want to delay anymore. So on one hand, that's like pushing me and propelling me. On another hand, again, like last year, the being that giant thorny portal, like a lot of the stuff, and then like going to London as much as I have, like I've experienced, and this just came to this realization like last night or the day before. Like the reason why I love London so much, I mean, because it's my favorite city, but also because like when I'm over there, I have a quality of life that I never would have necessarily thought I'd have. Like I can get around without a car. I mean, I have my license, but I don't have a car. I just got my license after I got my eyes operated on. Um, it's like I can move around. I can go to stuff. I can, and like there are things to do, which is also nice. Like there's good food all over the place, good dessert, like things to see. Also, like post cataract surgery, like I can even like go places at night. Like we went to the theater at night. We went to the cinema and like I could really see myself living there. And I've been like thinking about it. It's been processing in my mind for the past 2-ish weeks or a week and a half or so. It wasn't until like last night or the day before that I was like, part of the reason why I like it so much is because of like that quality of life that I get that I didn't think I'd necessarily have. And then even in other areas and aspects of my life, it's like I'm more open and willing to do certain things and to like listen to the people who I would never listen to. AKA my friend. Hey Holly, how you doing? Drive safe. I hope you make it to your destination. I mean, I'm sure you will, but I hope you do. I'm like taking friends' advice that I'd like never quite necessarily listened to. The one like the advice that was just like why is this sitting on me as heavy as it's sitting on me? The tower is here at the bottom of the deck again. The tower and the ace of wands. I kind of love this. When I shuffled, and then the ace of cups. What? And then the king of wands. The ace of cups for that queen of cups, the ace of wands for this king of wands, and then the tower. The tower was at the bottom of the deck when I was shuffling before I came live. I mean, I feel like this is pretty accurate. Ace of wands is like new desires that lead to new feelings with the ace of cups, or new feelings that lead to new desires. And with the tower, it's like it exists outside of the bounds of what was previously established. Um, which is interesting because almost in general, I find myself like, I don't know if I want to say being a little less. I'm using my laptop, which is why you see the screen wobble because I'm like shuffling on it and it's wobbly. So if that upsets you or if that disturbs you medically, then you might want to skip this video because I don't have my other thing set up. I mean, honestly, okay, give me a second. And I can't even like I got the Arizona green tea with ginseng and honey. And I'm like it's good, but it has so much sugar in it. So now I got like the diet. I'm like, I don't mind it, but at the same time, it's very just like, why? Why can't I enjoy the things I used to enjoy? Why, SpongeBob? Why? um, and yeah, there are some. I don't know. It's like honestly, too. Like there is a certain level of honesty that I've had to have with myself. I think also too. So another thing that's like sort of weighing on me, I feel like is like being 30, and that I'm only 30, right? I am the probably the youngest person in a lot of spaces that I've been in on the internet. Or I mean, like on here. I know, like I'm a baby compared to pretty much everybody else, and there are people who are younger than me still, but I don't necessarily. I feel like frequent like the spaces that they would be. I guess I don't know how old everybody is. So from the ages of the people that I do know, I'm like the youngest, which is interesting because like I was used to that experience growing up being the youngest. And then I went to school. And even in like my freshman and sophomore years, I was the oldest. Or I would be older than other people. When by the time I finished school, it was understandable that I was older than most people because, I was there for a minute. But anyway, and then I got on LinkedIn today and I'm like looking through my contacts and I'm like looking at where people are and what they're doing. I'm like, oh my gosh, like my friends are like high key, low key crushing it out there in the world. Um, and not to say I'm not, but um, I mean, I kind of am in my own way. You know what I mean? Especially for what I thought I'd be. Well, yeah, yeah. And that's an interesting thing to me because it's like I'll see people. See, now I can shuffle and I can move. I can tap the laptop and it won't shake the camera. Um, I did that for you, people who might have vertigo because the camera keeps moving. I was like, it's kind of crappy of me to be like, if you have a medical condition, then you might want to skip this video because I'm too lazy to like adjust my little tripod with the webcam already on it. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be that lazy. Um, the Two of Swords and the Eight of Swords. This Two of Swords came out with the Stankness cycle, I believe, with Offerlagu, when Russ used the little ones to rake some runes. So it's a Ten of Swords overall. This Ten of Swords, I can read it like the Tower, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Cups. Because it's like this is a decision to go beyond the Eight of Swords energy. It's a decision to like open your eyes and see the things that you would avoid. It's a decision to be more consciously mentally liberated. And then that subsequently causing this end of one cycle or end of one way of thinking and a beginning of a new way of thinking with the Ten of Swords. And in this deck in particular, like there is no moon. So it is really just like you have to face yourself in the mirror. And there's like, because it's mirrored, it's almost like there are two aces of swords instead of it being two swords, which is interesting in its own right. I'm not necessarily trying to put reversals in here. Three, four, ace. So with this Eight of Swords, again, we see like there's an ace off by itself. And then we have the Three of Swords crossing the Four of Swords. So that could be like, it feels like it's an inability to feel, not an inability, I don't want to say inability. It feels like it's like difficult to feel settled. It's very like Three of Swords comes, it feels like a cycle of like heavy crying, because it's like with the Three of Swords, it's that like the emotional pain. It's like when when you like cry heavy, and then when you stop crying, that is that little bit of like release of tension, probably from all of the muscles pushing tears or whatever. It's like the catharsis after that a little bit. And then it starts to like slide into the Four of Swords energy. But it feels like before you get too settled into, or before because I was mostly talking about me, right? Um, Before you get too settled in, it's like the Three of Swords comes back. And then the Ace of Swords off to the side, it's almost like in that Eight of Swords energy, it's almost like it brings something to the forefront as needing to be resolved. It's almost like it's easier to see what the root of that pain is. And then you take that Ace of Swords and you face yourself and you ask yourself, or you encourage yourself, you talk to yourself, and you get yourself through it with that Ten of Swords energy. The 10, that is the combination of the 2 and the 8. So, which is also what Libra and Gemini energy. Libra is about to receive the South Node, and Mercury just left Gemini. So Gemini might be empty until Venus enters it. Now we have the Nine of Swords with the Judgment. These are very interesting energies. Look at that. This almost feels a little Seven of Swordsy. I mean, it only feels Seven of Swordsy because it's like this person is offering something at the sarcophagus, or at the sarcophagus doing whatever. And then you have this person standing behind the sarcophagus. So it's almost like this one sets it up so that people come and offer whatever. But if it's Seven of Swords, and since it's major arcana, it would be like the divine is low key trying to get people to free themselves, liberate themselves in some way, maybe. But anyway, I guess today I just noticed how, and it's been kind of sort of since yesterday. It's been like that's been ramping up a little bit. I don't know. It's just like a little easier. And, we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows where life will take me next? I applied for another lab job, and I was like, I don't really want to work in a lab, but I'm ready to get back to work. But also, like, I have been looking. I haven't been doing like everything, meaning that like I haven't necessarily been like looking in certain areas or whatever. Um, but the voice of that Libra in my head, which is my friend, the one I stay with in London, every time we would have this conversation, and I would be like, yeah, but like I don't want it. So like why would I even apply for it? And he was like, just because you apply for it doesn't mean that you're gonna get offered the job, number one. And number two, if you do and you don't want it, you don't have to accept it. And so I was like, true. And if I do accept it, that doesn't mean that I have to stay there forever. And so for me, speaking of the Ten of Swords, like changing of minds, right? Um, that's something relatively new for me, I guess, because I used to be of the thought for sure that's like if I know I'm not gonna accept a job, like what's the point of interviewing? I was also like, somebody else could like work that job or whatever. I'm taking up somebody's time and someone else's interview slot or whatever. And I guess ultimately that doesn't make sense because like if I don't interview for the job and then don't accept it, or even if I do interview for the job and don't accept it, either way, like another person would be hired. Um, and then another thing too, I feel like I really had a mentality that was like, and I kind of still do, honestly, but not so much anymore, where it's like if I, like, I don't, I would prefer, I guess, a part of me would prefer to like end up working for a company that I stay with like long term. One that's like broad enough where I can experience different roles and then like move within the company and do stuff like that. Like I think that would be pretty cool. Um, and I think I don't want to say misplaced loyalty because I feel like that might be a little extreme, but I am willing to like um work through like the tougher, harder times and like stick with a company rather than like jump ship when things start to get difficult. And so now it's like that's something that I guess it's kind of twofold. It's something that I value about myself, but also at the same time it's something that like I don't want to end up in a position where I'm being taken advantage of. Where my loyalty is like being taken advantage of. Now the Knight of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. Right? Because that's no bueno. But then it's like, I can leave. I don't have to stay wherever. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's like all of the stuff that I knew I needed to start moving on, but either I didn't have the energy for it or I was like Netflixing, animating, video gaming. Like I said, I've been playing through my library. Um, and I don't know, I've kind of been enjoying it for the most part. But it's like it's time to get back into the workforce. And then, like I said, with like turning 30, and I saw this show on Netflix where it's this girl who's 30 and she goes back to when she was 15 years old and she'll make a change in the past and then she'll go back to the present and then she'll make another change in the past and she'll go back to the present. And I can't go back to the past, but the present is the past of a future, whatever. Right. And it's also been very like, it had to be roughly like 110-ish days ago where I was watching a video. It might not even necessarily been like a reading or whatever. It could have just been somebody, an influencer. Um, but they were like, it was like, you don't have to wait to start that thing. Like there's something that you can do to get started now. And so I did. And then at the end of the year, beginning of the year, it was like, even with like health and fitness and stuff like that, like everything starts at some point. Now we're in Aries season, so of course, astrologically, it's like now is the perfect time to begin things, right? Um, but anyway, interesting times. We'll see where I go. Oh, I was saying like it's interesting too because I feel like for so long, just like comparing, like with no comparison to anybody else, just comparing me to me, like, and not comparing me in terms of comparison, but more so like mentally, like my mindset, how I think about things, what I do, and then the choices that I subsequently make in life. It's like I never would have thought that I'd necessarily have experienced some of the things that I've experienced and that I'd be the person that I am and that I'd want some of the things that I want. Um, and I say that because I've been home for like 4 years now. No, three. I came home at the end of 2019. So basically 2020, and it's 2023. So it's been like 3 years since I've been home. And there's still like some people that I'll see that I haven't seen in some people literally, most people, I guess, literally decades, like before I left for school. Not decades plural, but like a decade. And they're like, "Oh yeah, like you're traveling all over the world," or like, "I'm trying to get on your level. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do what you're doing." And of course, in my mind, I'm like, "Well, I'm not necessarily going all over the world. Like I've been to London a few times, which is still like not to undercut that or whatever." And then it's like the amount of time like it took me to get my degree and stuff like that. That's why it was like comparing me to me because like for so long I was so like procrastinating and didn't really finish anything or whatever. And there are things that I have finished and accomplished. And I don't know. It's I guess it's a point to reflect and take stock, but also to look forward at what's coming. And it's a point for me, honestly, to consider fear and to consider frustration and to consider regret, but not to the point where they hold me back or where they create obstacles, but to the point where it's like it motivates me beyond them. Because for the first time in like four, I think it had been like 3.5 years. I lived regret free. And like my regrets aren't huge because I understand they're not huge because I can give myself like the grace and compassion and like the understanding that a previous Patrick would not be able to give to himself, which is like, was that 2 years ago now ish almost? I think so because I think it was before I started working. Um, where it's like I didn't give myself that level of understanding. I would just compare myself to where I thought I should be without accounting for literally life. Um, Now I'm like I'm starting to lose my train of thought. What was I talking about? I don't know. Um, I honestly forgot. I almost have it. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point, but that's fine. It's regret. That's what I was talking about. And how like I don't regret it because there were still things within myself that I wasn't even aware of. Like I didn't realize I'm gonna pull before and after the 10 of Wands because the High Priestess is at the bottom of the deck now with the Two of Swords again, and then the Hanged Man after that Two of Swords. Anyway, like there was baggage that I had that I didn't even know that I was carrying until it was triggered up. So honestly, I'm glad that it was triggered up when it was and in the ways that it was before. Nine of Cups and Ace of Cups right next to each other. There's some real like additive elemental energy going on here, which is pretty cool. And then the Knight of Cups is before that Nine of Cups. The Knight, the Nine, and the Ace. Um, Focus. Yeah, I'm glad that it came up when it did because I'd rather be in. I'd rather like there are certain things that I'd rather not find out when I'm in a position where it's a lot more almost detrimental. You know what I mean? So in that way, I don't regret it. But oh well, here we go. The 10 of Wands. But also, like there are just things that I wish I would have been able to be a little bit more consistent with and a little less waffly. But I'm a Pisces. I go back and forth. See, around the 10 of Wands, speaking of like, because I was like, let me pull before and after the 10 of Wands because like of the things that I was carrying that I wasn't even aware of. Um, it was in between the star and the world. So definitely, like, it gave me an opportunity. It brought those things to the light in a way that wasn't necessarily, um, some of it wasn't necessarily presented in a way that made it seem like mandatory, if that makes sense. Like, some of it could have been very easy to excuse, or some of it could have been very easy to, like, not only explain away, but to, like, compassion away in a little bit, in a little bit of the sense. Um, but then, like, going back to the Ace of Wands, like the Tower, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Cups, it's like how I say on here, whatever. Like, I'm literally, I am who I am offline, who I am online, and I say the same to me, or it'll come to me in the same. It's like I understand why I feel the way I feel, and I understand why I am the way I am, but I want more. I want different. And I declared to me, to you, to anybody, everybody watching, I want everything. And I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to get it. And so 2022 was a lot of doing. um, but again, like all of the doing of last year, especially, put me in a position where it makes it a lot easier. So almost in some ways, honestly, again, like the past few days, I don't know if it's my Mars return, make me a little extra brave or something, astrologically, I don't know. Uh, but it's been so easy to like, it feels like, um, partially to extend a hand to myself, but also it's been so easy to like reach for an extended hand. Like, there are so many, again, and it's like it's partially regret, it's partially like what I want, and all of these things, and even the negative stuff like fear and stuff like that, because I had the experience that I had last year, it already like rewrote that for me. And so again, like, shout out to Saturn. I don't know if it was the energy of last year or if it was me and my Saturn return and Uranus transiting between my rising and my moon in my first house. Like, I don't know if it was personal or collective, is what I'm trying to say. Um, but because of last year, like, it really, as like triggering as some of it was truly, in facing it and overcoming it, I got to reset the standard, or I got to set a new precedent for myself. Um, and it's one that I had to like repeatedly sort of like work on. And like I said, there are some things that I can't even fully regret because I know why I was where I was. Um, and it's because of it that now I can more consciously choose to be who I am. Um, in the way of like how I approach things and like what I end up doing, like applying for that job, right? And like allowing these mindsets and stuff like that to change. Cause I got a lot of fixed energy in my chart. No problem. Enjoy your evening. It's nighttime. um, I can be like pretty fit. I can be incredibly stubborn, but it's why like spirit loves me, and it's why I love spirit, and why the people who love me, and the people who don't. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? We're not gonna be liked by everybody, um, and so I don't demand anything from anyone. There are people who I would love it from, of course, but anyway, like it's because of everything last year, because of like setting a new precedent, and because like life kept putting me in a position to handle things and to deal with things, and because I continuously chose to rise to the occasion and to do my best to like work through stuff, that I can feel so free. I can so easily like do stuff that I never would have done or that I would have feared to do. And again, it's at the point right now where it's like it's motivating me to like continue moving because what I want is on the other side of that comfort zone fence. I am going to pull before and after the Fool too, because why not? I don't even know if I saw the Fool when I was in here. Feeling like a whole fool. That's what I did last. Was that the year before last or 3 years ago? When I pulled around the Fool in like, um, what, 3 or 4 or 5 decks. So the Fool is in between the Hierophant and the Three of Pentacles. I see like Il Papa. I was like, what? Il Papa? Oh, like Pope. I was like, Papa. The Fool was in between the Three of Pentacles and the uh, Pope. Hierophant. Hierophant. The High Priestess is at the bottom of the deck. What does that mean? I don't even know why I have these. I do know why I have these. I mean, kind of. I kind of know why I have them. I just picked them up. No cards on the floor, please. Again, the Two of Swords. Again. Face down, the High Priestess. So the two cards that were at the bottom. Now the High Priestess has come out for this High Priest. Hierophant. I don't know why I keep forgetting Hierophant. I keep forgetting Hierophant because I'm so far outside of traditional programming. And by traditional programming, I mean Mind for Me. And the Five of Pentacles flipped over. I was like, what does this mean? So it's the Two of Swords, the High Priestess, and the Five of Pentacles. I guess it's very this. It's also interesting because usually, like, the Five of Pentacles is depicted with two people being outside of a church, and the Pope, the Hierophant. Goodness, why can I not remember Hierophant? The Hierophant is right here, but it's like it's this Two of Pentacles in the air for Three of Pentacles underwater. The Three of Pentacles underwater feeling like the unseen subtle elements. The Two of Pentacles in the air, it's like this Two of Swords energy, but it's in the way of like the Two of Pentacles can be seen as balancing, but in a way it's like prioritizing. And so again, it sort of plays into like how I choose to live my life and make choices and decisions and cultivate and create my experience up here because of what I want ultimately down here. And it's like there was opportunity for me to like it's like when I said like stuff got triggered up that I didn't even know I was carrying around. It's like, and I talked about how I was really content for a minute, but I still had that like fear of happiness because as soon as things started to come in or whenever something would present itself as a step beyond content, like I would get triggered. And I'm like, oh, what's happening? This hasn't happened in a 2020, like the end of 2021 and 2022 was like pre-journey triggers for me. Even now. But now it's like it's so almost insignificant. Not almost insignificant. It's so easily manageable because of, like I said, everything that 2022 and my Saturn return made me like experience, and it forced me to face. It encouraged me to face because I could have run away. And like even my mom was like, if you want to quit and do something else, you can. And like I'll support you because it's your life, it's your job. Um, but I was like, I can at least try. If I don't like it, I can quit. Even when, well, it never felt like it was for me to quit. It never felt like it was for me to give up. Even when it was like really challenging, when it was really difficult, even when I really wanted to walk away. Just like when on that Leo full moon, when I had that argument question mark with my host, with my friend when I was in London. And I was laying there thinking about it, and it was like that whole like, well, maybe you've outgrown each other, or maybe you're growing in different directions. It was like no, like that doesn't feel right. At this point, that doesn't feel like that's what's like salient or pertinent. Like that's not the question to be considering right now because it's not true. At some points, yes. In some instances, would it be? Could it be? Yes. But in this specific situation, in this specific scenario, it's not for me to leave. It's not for me to quit. It's for me to grow beyond and expand. And again, like in hindsight, I'm glad I did because it makes me doing what I'm doing easier. um, yeah, and that came out around the Fool. It was the three, oh yeah, and the Three of Pentacles is here. So it is like very, because I'm looking at her like this Empress up here with the kids down here. Maybe that's also, I was like, can I get some clarification? And then with the High Priestess as well, it is this very like on the unseen spiritual side of things, like there is a point, purpose, and reason behind it. I also have the book. I haven't used it. I got the book because some of these are a little out there, a little wild, a little difficult to read or interpret. Also, sometimes too, it's like if I look at cards outside of a certain context, they'll like be really intimidating. But if I'm using them like to like pull cards or whatever, there's enough context where I don't have to necessarily read. I mean, I do enjoy reading a lot of the books that I have because they introduce elements and perspectives that I don't necessarily have, or because there might be a symbolism or something that I wouldn't necessarily pick up on because it doesn't mean to me what it meant for the illustrator or creator of the deck. And it's nice to pull on. But yeah, I told my friend, I was like, hey, I applied for the job. And like, I know that even if I don't necessarily like want to work in that environment, I don't have to be there permanently. And I don't necessarily have to accept it if I'm offered it. Um, it's interesting because it's at a company that I wanted to work for in town because it more aligns to what I originally like wanted to do. Um, and the position just popped up because I've looked every now and then. And it just popped up not too long ago. I saw it and I was like, but then I was like, I might as well. What was I saying anyway? Oh yeah. It's at a company that I originally like really wanted to work at. Kind of really want to work at, honestly, low key. Um, but it's like being in the grocery store is so, I don't know. It's just, I'm not necessarily monitoring my sugar intake, but it is really annoying to like look at like Pop Tarts or granola bars or a cereal or a drink and then just be like, oh, that's so sugary. Oh, it has so much sugar in it. I'm like, why am I? Why am I? Since when does it matter? Oh, it's fine. Maybe it is that like mm, I'm just like okay. My body's like, yeah, you're listening now. Kirsty, I thought about you before I came live. I know, right? I was like, it's late enough. I might run into Kirsty. How are you doing? How are you? It might have actually been before I came live because I was in the kitchen and you hopped into my mind for a second. You crossed my mind. Excuse me. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's interesting and muy interesante. And we'll see where life takes me now that I'm in the year of expedition and allowance and everything else. And again, it's like some of the stuff, some of the, like my mindset by itself is so not what it used to be. I feel like I'm in a process of like mental transformation. Again, in ways that I never necessarily expected, but almost it's also too a little bit that like some things are almost becoming are starting to feel so like absurd that it's just like, and it might not be absurd in a way that a lot of people might interpret it. It probably isn't. I guess it's more so it seems it's almost like there are some like pitfalls or circular, it's like the leaf caught in the eddy. It's almost like there are certain like pockets of stagnating, just like there is no, like it's a losing game. It's a lose-lose. And it's almost like it's intended to be that way. It's almost like it's not necessarily even intended for any kind of resolution. It's just like circular and nonsensical. And I mean, part of it is because there are certain complexities in life, because there are a lot of like grays and reds and blues and purples and greens and oranges and yellows and every color in the rainbow that isn't necessarily black or white, right? There's lots of in between, there's lots of paradox. And so it's like, just like, what is that? Was that Odysseus and Charybdis like avoiding the whirlpools as you're like sailing? I mean, it could have been so many things. Um, could have also been what Earthsea, maybe. I don't think they necessarily navigated whirlpools. Could be like Percy Jackson or like anybody on a boat where there's a giant whirlpool and they're like, we got to steer around it. Or Wano Kuni, where they had to like go to this land and like, anyway. Hi Ariel, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Well, I'm glad to share. No problem. Dreaming of a horse in full tact, sleeping in your bed. What? Did I have a dream last night? Yes, but I forgot it. I don't even remember what it was. I wanted to put my earrings in today for no reason. I don't want the holes to close up, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's, I don't know. And like I said, it's interesting. And I feel like I've also, but like the way I've navigated my journey, because I consciously and intentionally avoided facing certain challenges in my life for most of my life, when it came time to like face things, I already knew where to start. And then I had this like, I was a tower chaser. I was like, I'm chasing my towers, I'm following my fears because these are the things for me that I know I need to work through to let go of. These are the bars on my invisible cage, like the Eight of Swords. It's like when I fall into the like these three of swords, four of swords, three, four, three, four, three, four of swords energy, like I know what that ace of swords is that I need to like face or pick up to get me out of the situation, but I don't feel that I'm strong enough or confident enough. Like it's a whole rabbit hole that I don't want to fall into for a while. And then I had my darkest night and I was like, okay, it's time to face everything. And again, like I said, like November 2021 into like January, February of 2022, and then like into like June, July 2022 into like October 2022. Like there were like the triggers. I remember November 2021 being like, I haven't felt this triggered since I started my journey. Like, I was like, I think this might be it for me for real. But again, like the whole time I was building muscles to choose differently. How has it already been an hour? It was literally just like 18 minutes. I'm glad you're feeling better today. Took the kids to the beach and sat in the salt water. Ay. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear it was a rough week, but you're a Taurus. Are you an Aries Taurus or a May Taurus? Your birthday is coming up. Now it's the Two of Pentacles. I was like, see, I've seen the three. Here's that two for the three that came out. I'll actually read this one because why not? Bottom of the deck is the Nine of Swords, which we saw. It was the Nine of Swords and Judgment. The Two of Pennies. Oros, Denie, Munzen, Denari. Is it what? German, Italian, Portuguese, French. Let's see. What English? Chalices, Pentacles. Pentacles, the two. Gaiety, amusement, novelty, written messages, obstacles, anxiety, concern, and deceit. I almost thought that they would give more than just the little blurbs, but gaiety, amusement, and novelty, I've never necessarily heard of that associated with the Two of Pentacles traditionally. So anyway, I want to try something that I'm not great at, but I want to try it. So I'm gonna ask my favorite. Don't tell Bixby. Am I falling out with Bixby? Maybe. Maybe not. Your B day is 425. But you're full of Aries. You don't know what planets are transiting you. They're also making you face all your fears and deal with all of these things. Honestly, like it could be Pluto moving into Aquarius. It could be Saturn and Pisces. It could be everything transiting Aries. What Jupiter, the Sun. Has Mercury transited into Taurus yet? I don't know. Her first child and is due on the Taurus Gemini cusp. Ooh. Oh, snap. Has it really been that amount of time already? I mean, I guess so. It's already like April. What? What? We're already 4 months into the year, so yeah. Oh, time flies. Excuse me. For self-care, but just came in hot in a final assignments way. Maybe it's like, it's time to wrap it up because the new stuff is coming. Because the new stuff is coming. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know anything about astrology. You know, my Saturn return got me like, I don't know what's collective. I don't know what's personal. I'm just here living my experience. And I can try to ping pong it to a planet or this aspect or whatever, but like, yeah, I'm in my Mars is natally in Cancer, so I'm having a Mars return. What does that mean? I don't know. I just had a Venus return when Venus was in Aries. My Mercury is in Pisces, so that been and gone. I had a solar return, on my birthday. Uh, just finished my Saturn return. Jupiter. I'm in a Jupiter opposition right now because my Jupiter is in Libra and Jupiter is in Aries, but we'll see. I don't know. Your first daughter is a Taurus Gemini rising. Ooh. I looked at my degrees. My Taurus rising is at the degree that my youngest brother's Taurus sun is at, and my Taurus moon is at the degree that my grandma's Taurus sun is at. And then I think my grandma also has like Venus and Aries at the same degree. I actually like there are a few placements where like my grandma and me like will have planets that conjunct. Might not be like the same planet, but like I said, like my Taurus moon is her Taurus sun. And then my mom, my auntie, my brother, my grandpa is a Pisces. There's so many. We're fish heavy. We're a fish heavy family. So a Pisces and a Taurus got married and gave birth to two Pisces. Two Pisceses. My mom, the second Pisces, gave birth to two Pisces and a Taurus. And then my auntie gave birth to a Taurus and a Libra. So she got Venus babies. Um, yeah. I would say, like, are you hoping for a Taurus or a Gemini? But it doesn't matter too much. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, Siri, pick a number between 1 and 12.
A random number between 1 and 12 is 4.
Speaking of Cancer, I still don't remember. I was doing a reading one day. I kind of want to go back and find it. I kind of don't even remember where I went or what or why. But it was something about Mars and Cancer. Because I remember like getting on Time Nomad and being like, when is Mars going to be in Cancer? I think it was before the Mars retrograde. It might have been like early Mars in Gemini. I don't remember. I don't remember what the energy was. I was like, oh, this feels like Mars in Cancer. I wish I could remember. I should have like saved it somewhere or something. But anyway. So Cancer, let's see. So basically I'm gonna like lay out a Celtic cross and I'm gonna try to just like zoom out and read it just to see if I can more than anything. There's that 9 of Wands that was at the bottom of the deck. This is Sagittarius. I don't know what planet. Oh snap. I've seen some of these cards. Oh, major, 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 double major, as if whatever. Get the picture down. Bottom of the deck is the Ace of Wands. Speaking of Mars, speaking of Aries, two Cancerian parents. Well, I guess. Well, you're a Virgo. How that work? Doesn't explain it. Okay, so for Cancerian energy, this is interesting. So the moon came out crossing the 9 of Wands. And then at the bottom, at the root, is the Three of Pentacles. To in the past is the Hierophant. Crowning it is the Three of Cups, and the future is Justice, and it's an 8 Justice, not which is important. It's an 8 justice, not an 11 justice. But then 11 justice is over here. This is, hold up. This ain't justice. This is death. I was like, why did I think this was justice? On the other side, it's the Emperor, death, which is 4-4, the 9 of Pentacles, and then the 6 of Wands. Bottom of the deck is the Ace of Wands. Again, at the heart of the Celtic cross is the 9 of Wands. With the 9 of Wands and the Moon, it almost feels like being defensive and not necessarily knowing why. Either that, or it's like it's unable to, or it struggles to recognize that a certain threat is over. It's almost like the war is over. You can go home now. Like you don't have to stand guard here anymore. What's interesting about the justice being an 8 in this deck is because in the past, it's the 5 of the Hierophant. At the root and crowning it is 2 3s, the 3 of Pentacles and the 3 of Cups. And then in the future, what's happening? In the future is the 8 justice. Focus, maybe. Right? So it's like 5, 3, 3, 8. Oh gosh. Right? 5 plus 3 is 8. That's why I was like, it's interesting. And so it's like it took 3 minor 3s to move that up 3 major degrees. And they're 3 like assisting. Are there 2 assisting 3s? I feel like the only 3 that doesn't necessarily assist is like the 3 of Swords. But even the 3 of Wands is more so like a single person. Like they're the communal 3s. Like the 3 of Cups is like, friends and stuff like that, or like, not necessarily romantic soulmates, even though the 2 of Cups can be not necessarily romantic as well. Um, and then the 3 of Swords is like heartbreak. So it's almost like there's this collective energy that moves, that transits major arcana energy from the Hierophant to justice. I think too, it's almost like, so maybe instead the heart of this, it's like it's able to reach out and to connect with other people outside of one's own like self-preservation and defense. And in forming those bonds, it either increases the strength of a community, or it challenges the way that it challenges some like traditionally held viewpoint that gets things to move forward in a more just way. So yeah, like at the heart of it, the 9 of Wands and the Moon could be like facing the self so that one can participate in the 3 of Pentacles and participate and be present in the 3 of Cups. And then with the Hierophant, that's more like that traditional thinking, or it could be a traditional like structure, like, but it's very like power to the people energy, because when the people come together, they can overcome the Hierophant. Be that it's like as intangible as it might be. And that's what creates a sort of justice, or it leads to the energy of justice. It could honestly just be like holding Hierophant energy accountable. And it's more difficult to do when you don't necessarily have an experience or a knowledge of anything outside of that Hierophant. It's like if you're raised a certain way and then you go out and you experience life, and then you discover that your parents didn't know everything. Some things they may have been very knowledgeable about, but everything maybe not. And it's because you have different experiences that now you can call into question some of those things. And what's important is more so the question than the outcome, right? It's not necessarily whether it goes against or whether it reaffirms. It's just the point of questioning it. Because justice is there to serve as like the evaluator, or the what's the A word? Not the adjudicator. I think that's the word I want. Justice is there to serve as the adjudicator. On the other side, it's like because of, is this the elimination of dependency? The emperor faces death in the eye and doesn't back down. Then it goes to this Nine of Pentacles energy, which is very solid within itself. And then it culminates in the Six of Wands. So it's almost like there's something that can't necessarily be overcome alone. And maybe that's what the moon is trying to communicate with that Nine of Wands. It's like if you keep hitting your head against the wall or something, but then you open up to others and you get to, it's almost like it supplements for what the Hierophant may have lacked. In that you come into a better balance within yourself because it's 4-1-4 Pentacles. This is a like a stable foundation. This is a stable foundation, but this is like new energy. So it's very stable, but it's not too rigid that it's incapable of expanding and growth. And then you have the Six of Wands, like victory over whatever kept whatever this was. And maybe with the moon, it's like it's not to be overcome alone. It's again, it's like it's major energy. The moon is also major energy. The Hierophant, the moon, justice, the emperor, and death are the majors here. With the minors being the Nine of Wands, the Three of Cups, the Three of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, and the Nine of Pentacles. Literally 9 wands, 3 cups, 3 pentacles, 6 wands, 9 pentacles, 3s, 6s, and 9s. No swords, which is interesting. But the Hierophant can have a watery, swordsy energy, and Justice definitely has a swordsy energy. Interesting. And then the Ace of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. Well, here's the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords is at the top of the deck. I was pulling the cards up and it revealed itself. Three of Pentacles, Three of Cups, Three of Swords. The only three not here is the Three of Wands. I'm going to do that Patrick thing I did where I go looking for it. Because, I mean, every other three has shown itself. I guess the Empress hasn't necessarily, but the Emperor is here. And Justice is on the table. So I feel like Justice with the Emperor has to involve the Empress in some way, right? The Three of Wands is in between the Four of Swords and the Lovers. The Four of Swords and the Lovers, it feels like this plays into the Nine of Pentacles and Six of Wands energy. The Four of Swords is a space of mental like tranquility, but it's more often the calm after the storm. It's that cathartic sort of release after the heavy cry energy. And that catharsis comes sometimes thoughts, ideas, ways of doing things that heavy emotion would have like washed out. Because it's like you want to water the seed, but if you apply too much water, you're going to drown the seed or like you'll wash it away. You'll erode the soil. You'll erode the foundation that it's planted in if you have too much water. And the Three of Swords can sometimes be too much water. And it's with the Lovers. So it's like that, from that space of peace, calm, tranquility, from that, is descendo a word? Like crescendo? What's the opposite? From that ramping down effect, now comes a mental clarity. And with the Lovers, it's like making those choices and decisions that impact us for the better. The Lovers is like, it can be long-term choices. It can be choices and decisions that impact multiple people for long term. It's like getting married, right? well, I guess, Kim Kardashian and Chris Humphries had 72 glorious days. But I mean, when's the last time somebody talked about that? Uh, it is like it's being able to make choices and decisions from this space, which is again like what it's, I think too, because there is this element of like it requires an outside opinion or outside information. It requires something from outside of this hierophant to move it to justice. It might be something that like we alone wouldn't necessarily think of. So there may be a little of like an exchange or an adoption of like one thing or another. And then was that it? And the Ace of Wands is here. Yeah. The Ace of Wands being at the bottom of the deck. This is something that, like, that Nine of Wands where we start, it's like we don't have the capacity to take up this extra one and to get to the 10. 10 in terms of completion, not necessarily the 10 of Wands as being overburdened. You know what I mean? But I guess it's like that's the straw that this is the straw that breaks the camel's back when we feel that we have to bear this weight alone. And maybe that's the thing with the moon too. It's like we, with this energy being at the bottom of the deck, we don't know how it almost feels like we have an idea of what, but we don't necessarily know how. So it can like easily lead to burnout, but it also feels like it can be creative fatigue, which is different than a creative block. This is the part where I was like, what was this? Hey Sandra, how you doing? Nice to see you again. Um, it feels like there's a difference between like a creative block and creative fatigue. But it feels like they're resolved in much of the same way. Like take a walk outside, take a step away, allow your mind to wander a little bit. Create enough space mentally for the divine to come in and bring in whatever. And then the Knight of Wands is under that Ace of Wands. Like create enough space in the mind for the divine to come in and bring resolution or a guide towards resolution. So yeah, how long was that? Like I really want, because it was like way, way, way back in the day, way, way, way back in the day. Folks was like, you can pull out a full spread, but you don't necessarily have to get into like the nitty gritty of every single card in the spread. You can read the topographical layout overall. And it's something I've kind of sort of been wanting to try to do, but I figured I'd pull the cards and try to do it today. So that was one for Cancer. I'll do one more because why not? I mean, Mars and Cancer, Cancer. The Emperor was there at the bottom, so maybe it is like a little bit more Mars and Cancer. But who knows? Hey Siri, choose a number between 1 and 12.
A random number between 1 and 12 is 12.
Pisces. Screw you, Scorpio. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Scorpio was coming out being, I thought Scorpio was coming out being so cryptic last time. I'm like, Scorpio, where you at? Scorpio's the Hierophant. I was like, Octopus, I forget, Pluto. It's like Scorpio. I'm like the Pope, the preacher, the pastor. It's the Hierophant. Pisces got big Siri too. Pisces got my iPad instead of my iPhone. I don't even know where my iPhone, like I didn't think my iPhone would pick up because I probably set it somewhere, but my iPad picked it up. So Pisces is like, I'm listening. I am right here. Do not worry. Pisces is like, I'm always listening. I'm connected to the ethers. The wind told me that you needed my assistance today. I had a dream. I had a vision. I wrote a song, a poem. That is also a lot of like creative energy for Cancer too. So maybe for Cancer, it's to like, it's almost like not necessarily learn to delegate, but allow room for other minds, other people, other information to participate. Because it might cover some bases that might be lacking, that we might be lacking or whatever. Oh, yeah, it is your first grandchild. Two cards. Two cards. No, yeah, yeah, no, that's 23. Sorry. So Pisces at the heart, I'm just going to put both of these in the middle. I guess, yeah, I'm going to put both of them in the middle. It's the Ten of Pentacles and the Knave of Wands. So that's very interesting. And accidentally like zoomed in on the screen and got real big. Oh, now we're blurry. It's fine. Where's Eve? Probably asleep. The bottom of the deck is the World. The Ten of Pentacles with the Knave of Wands, bottom of the deck being the World. Interesting. I guess so. That Knight of Wands or the Page of Wands, that Page of Wands, it's almost like a what next, what now energy. The Ten of Pentacles feeling like an energy of accomplishment. It's the Ten of Pentacles because it's paired with this Page of Wands. It almost feels like taking care of your financial or the mundane or the nitty gritty. And then it's like, well, what do you do for fun? What do you do to unwind and relax? Like, what excites you? What stokes the fires of your soul? Because, Pisces, as whatever as they slash me may be, is like, you got to have food to eat, shelter would be nice, bills to pay, dreams don't pay bills. I can't remember if I talked about this, but I had a dream. I think I did. I had a dream that like I was at back at Purdue in one of the dorms and Harry Styles was there. And I don't know if he just had like bad press or something because there weren't a lot of people that were there. And I wouldn't have been there if I wasn't just there. You know what I mean? I didn't go for Harry Styles, but he was there. And one of my old coworkers, like, I think she's going to see Harry Styles in like the summer or something like that. But anyway, she likes Harry Styles. So I was like, oh, let me get a picture with you so I can like send it to her. And so I woke up and I told them because we had a group chat with my coworkers. I was like, I had this dream that Harry Styles was in like at one of the dorms in Purdue for some reason, and I got a picture to send in this group. And then one of my coworkers, she was like, "Well, where's the picture?" I was like, "The phone didn't make it outside the dream." I was like, I don't have it on this phone." I don't know why that it's like that. Like it didn't make it outside of the dream. Anyway, the World at the bottom of the deck. It's like it's time. Maybe it's either one or the other. I'm feeling it more like this might also be, it may be Pisces finding an area of overlap where what you're passionate about, where your creativity, it is like you are able to sustain a living off of it, potentially. Crossing it is the Two of Swords, of course, because why not? At the bottom, we have the Fool. At the root in the past, we have the Lovers. Crowning it, we have the Queen of Cups. In the future is the Knight of Swords. You are the Six of Pentacles. What's this? The environment is the Queen of Swords. Hopes and fears is the Six of Wands. And then the want to say energetic excess, I don't know, is the Eight of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the World again. So for Pisces, maybe I will just do Scorpio. I'll just do the water signs. Why not? I feel like Pisces, you are in this position of great, I want to say in a position of great intrigue. Crowning the energy is the Queen of Cups, and it's really playing on that pre High Priestess, extremely intuitive element of the Queen of Cups. With the Fool at the root, it's very like it's time for something new to be done, but it also feels like you might feel like a fool. In the sense of it might not necessarily be traditional, non-traditional. It might be one of those things where it's like people are like, well, you can't do this for a living, or you can't do that for a living, or you can't provide for yourself, like being a this or being a that. But it almost feels like what the world tells you you can't do, the divine is reassuring you that you can. And so the Two of Swords, it feels like it might be a balance or a play between those two. At the heart of this again is the Ten of Pentacles and the Knight of the Knave of Wands. So it's like you're sitting in the energy and frequency of abundance, but you're also sitting in what feels like prime creative energy, like holding the brush, not yet major first stroke on a blank canvas. And again, the Two of Swords, it feels like it introduces an element of conflict where it might not necessarily be there. Moving from the Lovers to the Knight of Swords, it's like there may have been choices and decisions that you made in the past with a much grander, greater scope that may have carried a certain amount of gravitas. Is that the word I want to use? It's the opposite of levity. But moving forward with the Knight of Swords, it feels like it has that same decision making energy, but the Knight of Swords is a lot less permanent than the Lovers. You sit at the Six of Pentacles, which is very like receptive and participatory. Environment is the Queen of Swords, which can be very it almost feels like it's playing on the analyticalness of her, like the pre-justice energy. Hopes and fears being the Six of Wands, with the Eight of Swords being an energetic excess. This could honestly be on the side, it could be a fear of success for whatever reason. Um, which is interesting because it feels like there's this part of Pisces that like wants to do it, but there's this other part of Pisces that fears being successful. And between that low hanging fruit, it's almost like you could be in an environment, or maybe you could have grown up in an environment where like it could be a mother figure. It doesn't have to. I say it could be because of the Queen of Swords in the environment. Also because the Queen of Cups is here. Um, like all of the court cards are at least like motherly queen energies. But it's an environment where it's like it's very like, oh, you think you're better than me, or oh, you think you're this, oh, you think you're that, where you have to minimize to like be safe or to fit in or to not make somebody else upset. It's like your light triggers whoever in whatever way. So that almost feels like it can sort of like impede like you really going all the way there sometimes. Maybe for a long time you were in a position where you had to make choices and decisions because of um life, like because of either safety or because like you were dependent upon somebody else to provide something for you. And so to make the experience as tolerable as you could, you would just like try not to push any buttons. You would dim, diminish, and like play the role. Um, and then with the Knight of Swords moving forward, it almost feels like it almost reads like a Page of Swords, but it has the momentum of a knight. Like it feels like it's the Page of Swords in novelty and how new something might be to you, but it's moving at the speed of a knight. Um, there is also a certain certainty here. So there's this other aspect because it's the Knight of Swords in the future and then the Queen of Swords in the environment. There could be a connection between your logical and intuitive minds. Your hemispheres are merging. And it might be because of the Two of Swords in your challenge. It's because you're navigating what can appear to be conflict, where it's like there's what I dream for, there's what I aspire to, and what the divine is affirming for me. But then there's also like how the world operates. As you can find that place where they both meet, again, because like with the Ten of Pentacles and that Knave of Wands, it did also have an energy where it could have been like your passion, your dream, what you love to do sustains you and it provides for you very well. So they're not in opposition. Actually, they work together. And as you're navigating them coming together, it feels like that's what's linking and connecting, like your intuitive and logical mind. So, in that though, with the Eight of Swords being energetic access, it's just going to require you to face a lot of things that may. It's almost like monkeys on your back that you don't even know are necessarily there. But again, this Ace of Swords stands apart from the three and the four, just like it does in the Queen of Swords, just like it does in this Knight of Swords. You may actually find like your missing piece or the missing link between maybe there, because again, with the lovers in the past, it's like maybe there is a pattern that you have of making certain choices and decisions, and maybe it didn't play out or pan out for a while, which again almost contributes to this hesitation around the energy of success and subsequently abundance. Um, it didn't necessarily like pan out or play out, and maybe you couldn't figure out what or why, but it's like now you know. Honestly, because the emphasis is almost shifting towards the sword, even with the Queen of Cups, it's like it requires a truth of you that you may not have been incorporating into the mixture as you've been stirring up whatever you've been stirring up. So there you go. I might come live tomorrow and do like the rest of the signs. I am going to do Scorpio because I did Pisces and Cancer. So, and then I'll end this almost to see if I can. Take it if it resonates, don't if it doesn't, as always. This is Gavin Newt. Gab of the earth, the Newt in the heavens, and then humanity in between. Um, I don't know why this world card, it's like there's an emphasis on greater and grander forces, but then there's also an emphasis on like you. It's like you are no less a part or piece of the pie or puzzle than any other element. So I don't know if Pisces, you like pedestal a lot of people or you hold a lot of people in high regard, but it's almost like there's something that's like impressive about you too. It's like look who you're in the company of. You wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be presented this opportunity, you wouldn't be whatever if you weren't also of a similar caliber. Right. But I think that more so, more than like the people that you surround yourself with, it feels like it are the people that you find yourself sharing space with. Um, it feels like the nature of that relationship is also important, right? Because if it's harmonious, then it's like you are also a part of this, like a three of pentacles, or it could be three of cups. Like three of pentacles being like you work together, or there's something that like there's a physical means that is the result of that coming together. The three of cups just being like camaraderie, community, friendship, not necessarily for a specific end goal. And again, like it can be both, right? You can have that bond and be working towards creating something. Um, but it's like if it's that rather than it being like hostile or competitive, if it's hostile and competitive, then it might not necessarily resonate the same. I mean, it could in certain circumstances and situations. All right, Scorpio. I love this, like, no timestamps. Scorpio. I'll give it two more. Oh, okay, never mind. Scorpio coming out with the Knight of Pentacles. Scorpio is about that business right now. Crossed by the Eight of Cups. Oh, wait, that was at the bottom of the deck. The bottom of the deck now is the Ace of Pentacles. Sorry, I pulled from the bottom, but that's fine. The root is the devil. Because Scorpio, why wouldn't it be, right? The past is the Two of Swords. The crown is the Five of Cups. The future is the Four of Cups. Very watery so far. You are the Queen of Pentacles, a queen we haven't seen. Current energy, the Knight of Pentacles. You are the Queen of Pentacles. Is this the environment? The environment is number 9, strength. The hopes and fears is the Eight of Pentacles. And then the overarching whatever is the Knight of Swords. So, Scorpio, you are very focused. There is something that you are doing. The root is the devil. The root might be money. They say money is the root of all evil. The devil is in the root, and you have pentacles that you are like sitting in with the Knight of Pentacles, crossed by the Four of Cups, the Eight of Cups, sorry. So it could be like physically inspired. It's almost like the past is the Two of Swords, crowning it is the Five of Cups, and the Four of Cups is in the future. You want to move things forward, but it feels like there's an intention. It feels like there's a certain amount of care that is paid to not going to a point of extremes, to not be in excess where it breeds rot. I almost want to say there may be a Cancer that you're not seeing like eye to eye with, or it might be Cancerian energy in general. It's the Knight of Pentacles. So Cancerian energy is like both the moon and chariot. It can be the home. Um, Ruled by the moon. So it is like a little bit more logical, but there's like so much water here. Why did I say that? Oh, because access to rot. It's like with cancer cells, they just like grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and they don't stop. It's almost like there's no consideration for the environment or one's like neighbors. It just like grows. And then it was like, that's an easy connection between, you know. maybe there was a point in your life where you were a little bit more indulgent, or where you were a little bit more focused on something that bears, like, there's a lot of status with the devil in the root and the two of swords in the past, but it's almost like status to the point where it was compensating, like overcompensating for something. You might, it almost feels like your challenge, your energy feels very like almost Ten of Wandsy, maybe like walking on ice, because there's something like it's progressive, it moves forward, but it's very hesitant. Like, it feels like there's a lot of thought and consideration being put into like every step, and it feels like that's all coming in with the Knight of Pentacles being crossed by that Eight of Cups. Maybe there, again, with the devil in the root, maybe there was an extreme in the past with the Five of Cups. I think you might also be in a position of establishing boundaries because of how the crown and the future look. It's almost like there was so much consideration for others that it feels like it was a drain on Scorpio. And in the future, with the Four of Cups, like this fifth cup, five cups, four cup, this fifth one is being like cemented underwater. Like, there's a boundary here that this person can't get to, that here there was no, it was like feet in the water. It was just like open. That could be like boundaries with other people. It could also be boundaries within yourself. Again, because of like the devil at the bottom and the Two of Swords in the past. Maybe actually the Two of Swords in the past had you like facing something. Sorry, one second. Before I went live, I had a feeling that this would happen, but it's fine. Um, focus. So you sit at the Queen of Pentacles. Environment is strength. Hopes and fears is the Eight of Pentacles, and the overarching whatever is the Knight of Wands. It feels like you're in an energy of like no compromises, but it's like something that compromises your, it's not integral. It's not that it's not that it compromises your integrity, but maybe it goes back to that Five of Cups and the Four of Cups. Like, there was something that you allowed people more access to than they should have had. This could literally be you, like, redrawing boundaries because how easily drained you may have been, or how quickly you might drain, or in certain situations. And it feels like with this, for some reason, with strength in the environment, it feels like fear from others that like they might get cut off. I guess if like it could be a job, or it could be like anything. If something is used to having a certain amount of access to you, and then you have to pull back because of whatever you're going through, it might be permanent. I meant to say temporary. It might be temporary and not permanent. But then with the Eight of Pentacles and the hopes and fears, it could be either because the devil's in the root, like, can I keep this up? Or um and the fear, it could be, can I keep this up? And the hope, it could be establishing a new pattern. I think with the Knight of Wands coming, because this it reads as very like complex and very methodical and meticulous. Um, but with the Knight of Wands overarching, it's like that's the energy that it frees you up for. Like it frees you up to bring more passion into your life. And it's because there's water in the well. It's because you don't exert and give to the point of exhaustion that you have something left to like actually like put the fire behind your eyes. You know what I mean? And to like live life with, which is gorgeous. You may just be in a period of like redrawing and reestablishing some things. And it might not even be like the devil in the root may not even necessarily be like terrible, or it might not even necessarily be like toxic. To that point, it's just like you were giving too much. So yeah, I guess I would say just, keep on doing what you're doing. It also might be beneficial to introduce more of those, but it might be beneficial to introduce more fire into this because again, it's like you're a water sign, so it's not surprising that there's water here, but it feels water heavy, and it feels like again with this cup being sort of sealed, it's almost like it's to get away from being so water heavy. Um, and it might help you reestablish these a balance. It might help you establish a new balance if you're integrating that fire in at the same time. So good on you, Scorpio. I mean, you're the Queen of Pentacles, so you're set. It might also feel like you are a bit overly cautious or overly concerned. It feels like you're at like a really good place. But something about the Knight of Wands with that Eight of Cups, again, it feels like, when you're like you drop your center of gravity and you bend your knees and you're walking like really slow across a super slick surface because you don't want to fall. It feels like that. But it's like, you could like release the tension, you can straighten your back a little bit and walk a little bit more confidently because you have successfully, it's almost like you've recognized and realized what you needed to. And there's something, it's almost like the only thing that you had to do was realize something because you already, it feels like it doesn't require a lot of behavioral changes from you. It feels like it doesn't require you to necessarily incorporate something or be something that you aren't or haven't been. It literally just required like awareness. And like, oh yeah. So that's why it's like you don't have to necessarily overly focus on it. You're the Queen of Pentacles. You're good. I think there's also a part of this where you may become a little bit of a role model with that strength card in the environment where others may sort of see it in you. And then again, coming off of the Eight of Pentacles, I don't know if you would necessarily see it within yourself. This is interesting. So there you go. If I can get a word out. I feel like that one was maybe it wasn't too much longer. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna shuffle these up and get a final card and then go to bed because it's April. Is it April? Yep, it's 12:53. We are firm into April. No fools. It's April 2nd. April Fools. That's whenever I do April Fools, I'm like, I do really like dumb, corny stuff. I like doing dumb, corny stuff on April Fools though, because I'm not big into like pranks and stuff like that, really at all. I don't know if that surprises anybody, but I am not into pranks. It's like, don't play with me, don't mess with me, because the reaction is gonna be real. I'm just kidding, kind of. I'm probably a lot uh, chiller than I was in a previous day. All right, Nefertari Tarot. Final cards, final messages, final cards, final messages, final cards. Okay. Ooh, I mean, it's the sun, and the Three of Pentacles. This is very that like that which you want wants you, that which you desire desires you. It's this feels like it's that like all things for the glory of God, or all things for the greater glory of God energy. Bottom of the deck is the Six of Swords, which is traditionally moving to calmer waters. There's this, it's like light that spreads light, levity that brings levity, joy that sows seeds of joy type of energy. It's very like a Six of Pentacles from the divine. Like the divine is working with you because of how you're positioned to like inspire or positively impact others. It's like trickle down, trickle down blessings or something like that. I don't know. It's also interesting because with how this card is illustrated, it feels like the sun is extending rays. Yeah, it looks like the sun is extending hands to help. And then again, we have that person in the Three of Pentacles. So maybe this is like it's in very like tangible ways. And with the Six of Swords at the bottom, it's that like because there is a connection between the mental and the material. It's like it's a change in a physical circumstance that is the result of a change in a mental capacity or in a mental processing and functioning. And that subsequently leads to more changes in circumstance. It's whoever that was it, the Nellis the alchemist, who was like the internal change and external change and how they're linked or connected or whatever. Oh, so yeah, there you go. F around and find out your best friend is a prankster. It's something in a relationship. I don't think like I can have a sense of humor, but it's just like it's certain things to me that like aren't funny. You know what I mean? It's like there are certain jokes that are funny, but it's like it's just if it's not funny, then it ain't funny. You know, this ain't something to haha and hee hee about. Very like F around. I'm probably much different, honestly. It's been a hot minute. I am like more chill than more at least than I used to be. So anyway, I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey and way you find. Um, I hope that you find yourself in good company, even if the company that you're in is your own. So I will be back maybe tomorrow to do the rest of the signs to see if I can get 9 signs done in less than 2.5 hours. In less than 2 hours. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. You too. Bye bye. Who this? Oh, that's my buddy. I already missed her birthday. Her birthday was on the 25th of March. Ariel's birthday is on the 25th of April. Oh my gosh. No, you didn't tell me. Bye.